awesome with Nerium. You know, we can attract a doctor, a lawyer, a daycare provider, a carpet cleaner, a cowboy, whatever. I mean, you see all these different people from all these different walks of life going across stage and earning their $25,000 bonuses, $100,000, and so forth and so on. The stories are actually incredible, but they're real and they're true. You know, nobody's getting up and making up a story and going forth. And that's what I love about this company, and I love about the people. You know, I mean, you don't know what somebody's story is. You don't know why somebody needs this opportunity. You may pass up somebody because you think they don't need it. That's called prejudging. We're not supposed to do that. Never prejudge somebody because you don't know who really needs this opportunity. You know, I had an event in my living room downstairs one time, and one of my friends, I didn't know the situation that she was in with her husband or her marriage. I knew she was going to be my preferred customer, right? Oh no, she needed this opportunity like there was no tomorrow. But I didn't know that, and so at the end, I'm getting her preferred customer form because I'm thinking she's going to be my preferred customer. And she was like, oh no, I need to talk to you in private. I want to be a brand partner. I mean, guys, that's life-changing. Those are the things that our company does that it just makes me so happy to be a part of what I'm doing. So let me tell you my story. I was really sick in 2012, and life happened. It was awful. But I found myself at Mayo Clinic, and I was there for 3 months. And it was devastating because I had been sick, and I didn't really realize the extent of how sick I was. I knew that everybody couldn't figure out what was going on with me, but I was also going through a lot of stress, and so I attributed most of what was going on to that, kind of like we all do. You know, you have a headache, it's a stress headache. You know, you don't think it could really be something else. And lo and behold, ultimately, when I ended up at Mayo Clinic, I thought, I'm going to the best hospital in the world. No matter what's wrong with me, they can fix me, right? And so I get there, and I was away from my 2 little girls for the very first time in my life, you know, longer than a day or 2. And when I was there, they told me that I had this and I had that, but they really didn't know what I had until like the last month I was there. And when they diagnosed me, it did not come with a good outcome. And I'm going to try to say things a little different because my daughter was here. But as a single mom of 2 little girls, I can tell you that it not coming with a good outcome was devastating, to say the least, besides what the situation was. And when I was at Mayo Clinic, I had a doctor come in and visit me, and I kind of thought he was possibly a jerk, maybe, because he didn't seem to care about me as a person and what I had just been told and what I was going through and what I was thinking. Instead, he wanted to talk to me about, oh, I see you're on medical spas and this and that. And, you know, at the time, I didn't think about the fact that he was just probably trying to, you know, build a relationship with me or trying to, you know, talk to me about something that would have interest to me. But at the time, I didn't care. But I will tell you that I did not know that that day would be so instrumental in my next walk of life. And he asked me if I had heard about this product, this accidental discovery in MD Anderson. And I was like, again, I could care less. You see, I had these 5 weird spots that had occurred in my body when I started getting sick. And his job was to come and look at them. And he happened to be in the dermatological field in the hospital. And he came to look at my spots and truly and honestly, you know, starts talking about this anti-aging accidental discovery, and had I heard of it and all this kind of stuff. And of course, I said no, and I did not care. 8 months later, I was in the hospital, locally where I live in Columbia, Missouri, and I had received a lot of chemo, and I had a blood infection in my port, and I had to have my port removed. And I had owned these medical spas, and I had this beautiful Barbie doll laser rep. And she always called in my clinic for the years, and we kind of joked around with each other because, you know, I always told them if they just were there to sell the product and they really couldn't break in the product and they didn't know what the product was, I didn't have any interest in talking to them because I come from that clinical background. And so Astrid kind of became one of those people who was like my friend, but she was also somebody that she kind of broke through the mold. She wasn't the typical salesperson who was only taught to push the product and not know what the product really did, right? So she calls me, and she says, I hear you're in the hospital. I'm here to see my brother, and I want to come and visit you. And so, lo and behold, I didn't want her to come to the hospital and see me that day because I was having a pity party for myself. It was just one of those days where after that whole year of loss that we had sustained, the disease process, everything that I had went through, truly and honestly, it was just time for the pity party. I could have only been strong for so long, and that day, it was just coming out. I was just having my meltdown. And I hung up the phone, and I was like, oh gosh, I'm so glad she called first, because I didn't want her to come, kind of a thing. And so I remember standing up, going to the bathroom, and looking at my reflection in the mirror. And I didn't even recognize the person standing there reflecting back at me. With my disease process and the steroids and the treatment that I had, I gained weight, and I would gain and lose it because of the disease process that I have. I leak out extra plasma into my interstitial tissues. And then with the chemo and with the steroids and stuff, I just didn't look like myself. And I had discoloration, I had large pores, I had all of these things. It was like instantly, I felt like in that year, after all of that stress and the treatments and etc., I felt like I looked like I was 10 years older. And literally looked in the mirror and couldn't believe the person staring back at me. Sat down on my bed, had my camera phone, took a picture thinking, the reflection in the mirror can't be as bad as it seems, right? And it was worse. It was worse. And, I was like, oh my gosh, well, right at that moment, guess who pops in the door? Astrid. I tell her I don't want her to come and see me, and she comes anyway. And the funny story is that Astrid's water broke in my clinic, in my practice. So she was like, and I took her to the hospital, her family was, lived 2 hours away, and so she was like, if you can see me in my compromising moment, what makes you think, I can't come and see you? And so, guess what, guys? I'm glad Astrid came. So, that day, I'll make the long story short, but that day is when Nerium got in my hand. And you see, when it got in my hand, I recalled the conversation that I had with the doctor that I didn't think was so nice at Mayo Clinic. Still, you guys had no idea what was going to happen with the rest of my life and how it would change and that Nerium would even be a part of it. All I knew is my skin looked bad, and maybe the product would work, and oh my gosh, that is the product that the doctor was talking about. I want to use it. I want to research it. I want to see. The pity party that I was having for myself, my mind kind of was, redirected. So after she left, I can't even tell you the rest of the conversation. We laugh about this. She actually just came to visit me 2 weeks ago, and we laugh about this because I have no idea after that bottle getting in my hand what the rest of the conversation was, because I was so involved in wanting to research it on the internet. And so I borrowed the hospital laptop, and for 4 hours, I actually researched the product, the company, and I found the Nerium Biotech site. And I was like, oh my goodness, there's really something to this. There is validity and legitimacy to the nth degree. Again, I didn't know what it was going to mean for me, besides maybe my skin would improve, right? So about 2 weeks later, after I got home and went, from the hospital, I started using the product. And I didn't know anything about a 5-day trial or anything like that. Nothing. I just knew that I had this bottle, and it was like the 6th or 7th day after those nights of use. And I remember getting out of the shower thinking, does my skin look better? Because I think it looks better. It does look better. I took that same camera phone, I took my picture, and I compared it, scrolled back to the other one, and I just kept doing that. Well, I had 2 more treatments left, and my best friend always took me to all my treatments. And right away, she said something about how I looked, that infection that I had in my bloodstream must have been wreaking havoc on my skin because my skin looked better. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't tell her what I'm doing, she'll take my product. And you have to understand, there's another component to that. I was on food stamps and Medicaid for the very first time in my life because after not being able to work a year, no matter how much savings you have, and when you have a disease that less than 100 people in the whole entire world currently have, and you have to have all these experimental treatments and go all these different places, I mean, there was nothing resourceful monetarily left. And literally, the other part of me was like, I don't want them to think, oh my gosh, she's so vain. She's facing what she's facing, yet she's using an anti-aging product. Like that part of me, like, was, kind of in the back of my head, like, I don't want to say that, right? Well, anyway, we go to the hospital, and the same nurses, I see them all the time, same people, they administer the, treatments, etc. And right away, they were like, that 2-week break in treatment must have really done you some good. You're looking better. And you have to understand, everybody knows me because I had 2 clinics, one in Jefferson City, one in Columbia, and I had 20,000 clients, billboards everywhere, radio ads, TV ads for 10 plus years. So people knew me anyway from the community. And, when they said I was starting to look better, that it must have been the break in the treatments, I was like, do I tell them what I'm doing? Do I not? This could be like a turning point for something. Maybe I could sell this product. Maybe that. You kind of go back and forth in your mind about what you want to do. Do you want to tell them? And I was finally like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm doing. This product was given to me. And the next thing you know, everybody, all the nurses were coming over, and everybody was like, look at her skin, look at the pictures. Oh my gosh, what is that? Nobody had heard about it. And I was like, the entrepreneurial type business person in me, even though I was so sick, my wheels started to turn. You see, I needed treatments that cost $50,000 a month. And literally, with the kind of insurance that I had and my situation financially, things were not looking too good, okay? Let's just say that. And I thought, for a brief moment, what if? What if I could use this product to get the treatments that I needed? Because you see, the things that I remembered in the hospital were the fact that they have these live better bonuses, when I was researching the company. And I began to think, what if I could use one of those live better bonuses to simply live longer, not live better? I don't need a mansion on the hill, I don't need this, I don't need that. But what if I could get one of those bonuses and I could get my treatments? And understand that I thought at that point that I was still going to be getting my treatments because I was on this waiting list, and the Mayo Clinic doctors and the NIH doctors were all kind of back and forth and et cetera on what was going to be my next plan of treatment and et cetera. And January 16th, 2013, so a year ago in a couple of weeks, my doctors told me, because of the kind of insurance that I had and that this treatment was deemed experimental, that I was not going to get the treatments that I needed. And I have 2 little girls. My 10-year-old is with me tonight, and I have a 7-year-old. And I could not imagine not being here for as long as I could to see them grow up. And that's when I decided, okay, I wrote my last Caring Bridge. I had a Caring Bridge I wrote on every day. And I said on the Caring Bridge, I knew just what I was going to do. I was getting phone calls from family, from friends. I don't know, they thought I was going to do something awful. That's not what I was talking about. I was talking about Nerium. And you have to understand that my doctors told me I would never work again, that I needed to just go on disability. They would help all of that happen, and they would give me medicine, for anything I needed until the time came. You guys, I'm standing here in front of you today, a totally different person than I was a year ago. I know that there's only one person that determines your time, and that's God. I'm a very faithful person. I have been through so much in my young life that you wouldn't even, care to know. I could write a series of Lifetime movie networks. But literally, I think that the strength that I have been given through my faith has led me to where I am today. And I don't know why I'm doing so good, but I am thankful that I am. I know I'm a fighter. I know I'm a fighter, and I know that Nerium truly was a gift for me. I did join the company a little bit over a year ago, and when I joined the company, guys, I never in a million years thought that I would be driving a Lexus. I mean, that was my old life, right? I never thought that would happen. I mean, I knew all that was before the Live Better bonuses, but I didn't even know I was going to be able to get the Live Better bonus. You know, I just knew that I had it in my mind, and I had to help myself, and there was no doctor or any medical treatment that was going to determine my outcome, that at least I was going to try, right? I mean, what is the worst thing that could happen? I fail. It's kind of like when you think about it, investing with Nerium. I mean, $500 or $1,000. You guys, I don't know about you, but even before my old life, even when I was younger, I'd blown that much money on stupid stuff. I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? Nobody is going to be set back for years because they lost $500 or $1,000. I have truly decided and know the meaning that if money can solve it, it's not a problem, okay? It's not a problem. That's not a real problem in life. So truly and honestly, I did. I signed up to sell Nerium, and I think my neighbors thought I maybe turned into a drug dealer because the cars were coming to and from my house morning, noon, and night because I was still immunocompromised, and so I couldn't go out and meet all these people in like public places. So literally, what was happening is I would have them all come to my house, take their before pictures, take the bottle, okay, you have to bring it back in 6 days after 5 nights of use. I mean, I did this consistently. And the next thing you know, 2 months and 2 weeks later, I earned my Lexus. So definitely, the possibilities are endless for every single person. And then 2 months after that, Renee Olson is calling me, and she is like, "Who are you in Hope Summit, Missouri? And can you come and share your story with us on the national stage in Dallas?" And I was like, okay. I didn't really know I had a story, you know what I mean? But okay. So definitely, they forgot to tell me there was going to be 10,000 people there. You may not know it now, but I will tell you, in college, I would take a lower grade, or I would throw up profusely prior to getting up and speaking publicly. So I've gotten over that in my lifetime, but definitely the 10,000 people threw me over the edge. But truly and honestly, I can tell you that from the minute that Nerium came into my life, it's been a blessing. And truly today, I'm not just simply surviving, but I'm thriving. And I truly believe that this is a gift that every single person has if they just share it with others. You don't know whose life you can truly change. And the funny story is, the person that shared it with me, she went and signed up real fast when I called her back and was like, "What is this? I have to know how I can get some more." Da, 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 da. And truly and honestly, it has been like the joke between our friendship for forever and ever, and it will continue to be, because she knew I knew my stuff. She knew if I said the product worked, it worked. And I didn't know how it was going to turn out. I didn't know if I could be successful or not. I mean, 3 months into the company, I was standing on my own 2 feet, and I was taking care of my own finances, and everything started to turn around in my life. So I am telling you, mark my words, you will see me walk that stage with my $25,000 bonus in my hand in St. Louis. Yeah.